Hey guys, how are you all doing? In today's video, we will talk about Élise de la Serre's depression. Yes, you heard me right, depression. And I also will go a bit more in depth about her life. This video will contain spoilers for Assassin's Creed Unity, the novelization which follows Élise de la Serre. The novel follows her early childhood days until the day she dies. And we get to see a bit more what was going on in her head. And what she was doing off screen during the events of Assassin's Creed Unity. Of course this video will contain spoilers and I will grab a few of the most important parts of the novel. With the warning out of the way, let's start the video. Élise de la Serre was born in a noble Templar household. When Élise de la Serre was still a child, she went out shopping with her mother. But unfortunately for both of them, Élise and her mother both got followed by two men who wanted to murder them. Her mother started to notice this and told young Élise that she knew they were both getting followed and she sure didn't want to let the two men know that. She tried to cut the two men off by going in an alleyway, which in my honest opinion is kind of stupid, but okay, let's go back to the topic. The exit and the entrance got both cut off by the two men who wanted to murder them. Unfortunately though, for the two men, Élise, her mother, was really good at self-defense, and when the second man was holding Élise hostage, her mother killed the man in an instant. When the first man realized his ally was dead, he turned around and ran for his life, because he didn't expect his target was this good in the self-defense. Everything that happened on that day gave her nightmares for life. After Élise de la Serre met Arnaud Dorian, her mother got ill and was confined to her room. Many afternoons she spent it with her mother instead of playing with Arnaud Dorian. Unfortunately though, later on her mother died of her illness. The death of her mother brought an emptiness to her life that was never fully healed. When she attended to a boarding school, she always got in a fight with another girl. But what I mean with a fight is not only with words, but with fists too. She even admitted herself she wasn't really suited for the school and also made her own situations even worse. And the source where all her problems came from was the death of her mother. But to be honest, Élise was also never really good at making friends. When she was a little kid, she didn't want to play with the girls because of her tomboy behavior. She mostly wanted to play with the boys who were using toy swords. This shocked the crowd of course, and she was forced to play like a girl, which she pretended to enjoy. The only time she could actually be herself was around Arnaud. Or her parents, who had assigned her a sword instructor so she could learn how to defend herself from people who wanted to harm her. One day at the boarding school, I hope I say his name right, the sword instructor, Frédéric Wetterall, told Élise he has been tracking down the person who attacked her and her mother years ago, and his search led him to London. She begged him to go with him, but he refused because she was rebellious and needed to finish her schoolwork. This of course didn't stop Élise though. She wanted to travel to London on her own, but she needed a captain. In the middle of the night, she went to a tavern and looked there for a captain that will bring her to London. But the three men that offered her a boat to London had a very different idea in their head than Élise does. One idea she didn't like. The three men tried to kidnap her and no one in the tavern tried to stop them. Élise did try to defend herself, but because she hardly trained her sword fighting skills, she was easily defeated by the three men. They dragged her outside the tavern and tried to put her in a carriage against her own will. In the carriage there was another woman and her name was Helene. Fortunately for Élise and Helene, a half-drunk captain killed two of the three men and saved both of their lives. After a short talk with the captain, he offered Élise and Helene a passage to London. Helene had nowhere left to go and stayed with Élise, which Élise found kind of annoying, but she allowed it. And without noticing it, she slowly started to care more about her. On the boat to London, she started training her sword fighting skills again with the captain of the ship and reflecting on her life. In London, she made many enemies, like Templar enemies. When Élise arrived in London with her new companion, she found her former sword fighting instructor who was mad at her for coming to London. He wanted Élise to go back, but he knew she was stubborn, and even if he sent her back somehow, she will come back here anyway. So he decided to let her stay. In London, Élise got multiple assassination attempts on her life. And believe it or not, but she even had to save the life of the man who tried to kill her mother years ago. Mostly because he had information she needed. But by doing so, she also got in a fight with her enemies, and one of her enemies shot her instructor in the leg. When she fled with her instructor and Helene, she went back to the old school building and begged the headmistress to forgive her for what she has done. The headmistress forgave her and accepted her right back into the school. Unfortunately though, for her sword fighter instructor, his leg needed to be cut off. The instructor agreed with this, and Élise helped the doctor to cut off his leg. Élise continued with her education and helped her former swordsfighter instructor. And Helene, well, she fell in love with a boy, and Élise actually kind of hoped they will get a relationship. A few months later, she returned to the Serre estate for a private party. The private party that you saw in Assassin's Creed Unity. And on that party, her father got murdered. And apparently the culprit was Arno Dorian. Élise was too overwhelmed with grief to do anything and slowly started to dislike Arno. She also discovered he failed to deliver a warning letter to her father on the night he was murdered. Her former swordfighter instructor did visit her and helped her overcome her grief, and she still slowly started to notice she still kind of cared for Arno. So when she heard the Bastille got attacked where Arno was locked up in, she wanted to save him. She was in the crowd that attacked the Bastille and saw people getting murdered in front of her eyes, butchered, slaughtered, which shocked her. Only a few moments later, she saw Arno running away with the second prisoner, both performing the assassin leap of faith. This shocked her because now she thought Arno was part of the assassin order. When she returned to her estate, she got attacked by men who were sent from England to kill her. She defeated her attackers with the help of the man who tried to kill her mother a few years ago. After the fight was over, he revealed to her he found out who hired him to kill her mother a few years ago. The man who hired him was Germain, and there were also other people involved with this. Élise spent the following days in the estate, drinking and anxious. When Arno arrived at the estate and explained to her he was not her father's killer, she showed him the warning letter he failed to deliver to her father. After a few months passed away, she was found by her former swordfighter instructor who found her in a horrible shape. He took her with her and took care of her until she was back to normal. And that are the most important moments of the novelization to me. I will give you guys a bit more so you can understand this video better. Élise, her depression does make sense. When she was a child, she acted way different from the other children. So she never made any real friends besides Arno Dorian. She and her mother both got an assassination attempt on both of their lives when she still was a child, and this gave her nightmares for life. Her mother died of an illness. At school, she often got in fights with the other girls because of her rebellious behavior. When she went to England, she almost got murdered a few times, and she blames herself for the instructor to lose his leg. She had to save the one man's life who gave her nightmares for life. She often got in fights with her father, which she regrets, by the way. She and Helene almost got a fate worse than death. Her father got murdered. She got betrayed. She saw people getting stabbed to death. One time she even broke a few of her ribs. And the worst part is, I could actually go on. There are still details I haven't even mentioned yet. And I only used the things I thought were the most important for this video. Of course, I did skip out on a few details, or else this video will be 20 minutes longer. My next Assassin's Creed video will be a review on Assassin's Creed Unity, the novel, written by Oliver Bowden. When the review is online, I will link it in the description of this video. And also, I hope you have a fun day or night wherever you are.